Tiny Pony. How are we doing? Make some noise. All right. Very nice. Let's get into it. A little bit about me. I have a 95-year-old grandmother, which means that my grandma is, anyone? Shout it out. No bad answers. 95. Pretty good guess. Racist is actually the most correct answer. And it's funny because like the rest of my family, they try to like teach her to not be racist. They shame her, but I give up on that. Because she was born in 1928. You know how many people born in 1928 are not racist? There's just one. It's Bernie Sanders. He's the only guy. He's the only one. Selfishly, I don't judge her. Selfishly, because if I made it to 95, I'd want grandkids like me, right? I'd want grandkids that don't judge me based upon the time in which I grew up. Because I'm not a bigot right now. I'm not a 2023 bigot, but I'm pretty sure if you drop this dude in 2088, he's not a chill guy. I don't think I'm a good guy in 2088. I can see my grandkids being embarrassed by me. They're like, get a load of Zach. He still believes that genders exist. He still thinks there's men and women in the world. He's out of control. He called himself a guy the other day. He's unhinged. I'm stuck in my old ways. I'm like, I am a guy. They're like, no, you're them, Grandpa. You are them. They can't even call me Grandpa because that's binary. They have to call me something stupid like Grand X. I'm like, don't call me Grand X. That's retarded. They're like, whoa, Grandpa. Grandpa. You definitely can't say retarded. That wasn't okay when you wrote that joke. I'm like, Tard X. Fair enough. Tard X is what we'll go with. It's funny, my grandma, she'll say racist things that sound awful while she means well. She means well, but it sounds terrible because she doesn't know the right terms. I'll give you an example. My cousin a few years ago had an Asian girlfriend, and my grandma met her. She really liked her, and she called me after meeting her. She's like, Zachary, you have to meet Jonathan's new girlfriend. She is the nicest Oriental you've ever met. I'm like, that's not good. That's not good at all. I don't think she'd be the nicest if she heard you drop the O-bomb. And the worst part about that conversation was like, I was so taken aback by what she said, I wound up sounding more racist than her on the phone. I'm like, what do you mean he's dating an Oriental? She's like, he can date an Oriental. I'm like, that's not what I meant. Stop saying Oriental, okay, Grandma? Also, of course he has an Asian girlfriend, right? We're Jewish. Jewish dudes love Asians. That's how we're oriented. I hope at least that his girlfriend had like an offsettingly anti-Semitic grandma who liked him. Right? And called a different family member. It's like, oh, you gotta meet Jonathan. Nicest Heeb of all time. Quality Heeb. He's phenomenal kike, if we're being honest. Yeah, he took us to dinner tipped, and it was 25%. He's one of the good ones. It was a sunny day. He controlled the weather for us, okay? He's a good Heeb. Last thing I'll say about my grandma, one thing that she does every year is she calls me on my grandfather's birthday. And I tolerate it because I know it's a tough day for her, but it's always a frustrating conversation because she'll call me and she'll be like, Zachary, it's so sad. Your grandfather, Bernie, would have been 110 today. He never would have made it, Grandma. He never would have made it. What the fuck are we talking about? You need to move on. You need to see other people, okay, Grandma? She actually did move on. A few years after my grandfather passed, she started dating a guy. Of all the people that she could have dated, she reconnected with the guy who took her virginity in 1943. Yeah, some of you may not be good with numbers. Let me break it down for you. She fucked a guy during World War II, and then after Facebook was invented, okay? My grandpa was just a rebound for the better part of a century. He had no idea. He was just a placeholder. Their conversations on their dates had to have changed quite a bit in that time, right? I imagine on the first date, she's talking about something important to her. She's like, you think we'll ever have to share these water fountains? And he's like, I don't see that happening. I don't see that. I wouldn't worry about that. She's like, yeah, you're probably right. Oh, you have a cough? Have a cigarette. They're good for you. It's got to cure that cough right up. Then the last time they went on a date, she's like, my grandson's in an Oriental. He's like, you can't say that. You can't say that. Give me my vape back. I'm out of here, okay? Much like my grandma, I'm single. Woo! Yeah, cool, we got a lot of single people here. I'm single, which means I'm on all the dating apps, every single one. The least favorite dating app of mine by far is Bumble. Bumble, for those of you who do not know, is a dating app where the women have to message the men first. And I'm sorry, ladies, you do not have a fucking clue how to start a conversation on dating apps. Women have two methods. The first one is my least favorite. They will match you, and then they will message, hi. Just hi, not how you're doing, how's your weekend, nothing to work off of. I do the right thing. I only say hey back. And we have a mutual and unspoken agreement to never fucking talk to each other for our entire lives. What I've seen women do instead is they'll try to ask some weird question, hoping that'll lead to like a longer, better conversation. This is a real message I got off of Bumble. This girl was like, hey, Zach, if you were trapped on an island and you could only bring one book, what would it be? I'm like, the Island Survival Guide, you fucking idiot. Are you kidding me? What other book would I want on the island? I don't think I'm going to have an abundance of free time to leisurely reread Of Mice and Men. I'm trying to eat mice to survive. Dating stuff. I went on a first date recently, and about 45 minutes in, she mentioned that she is a Disney adult. Yeah, I'm glad we're all on the same page on that one. Just one person back. What's wrong with that? Disney adulthood has even ruined non-romantic relationships for me. Like, I had no idea that my cousin was a Disney adult till I visited him in LA. I got there the first day. He's like, do you want to go to Disneyland? I'm like, no. Why would we do that? We don't have kids. He's like, no, dude, you don't get it. You can drink there. I'm like, there's a lot of places you can go to drink where you're not surrounded by kids on leashes. What are we talking about? He's like, dude, you don't understand. They have a lot of Asians. I'm like, we could go to Disneyland just this once, all right? We could go to Disneyland once, Jonathan. No good transition for this one. I think sperm banks are unfair to women. I think sperm banks are a zero-sum game for women, because I think that if you're a woman and you go to a sperm bank, it's tough because no matter whose sperm you select, half of your kid's genetics came from a guy who really needed $50. Like, you have to be pretty far behind on rent to the point of, yeah, I guess I could bring a kid into the world with whom I have no relationship. You're not going to find financially successful guys donating sperm. But pretty cool thing about sperm banks is that they're probably the last place on earth where you can still be racist. They probably are when you think about it, right? I've never been to one, but I would imagine that when women go in there, the first question has got to be, so what kind? What kind are we going with today? She's like, do you have any Jews? I'm afraid this is the only bank they don't attend. They haven't needed the money in years. We've never needed the money. Try Goldman Sachs. You're going to have more luck there. That's where Jews are born. They remove the Goldman from the sack and they give it to you. That's Jewish conception. That's how it happens every time. I like being Jewish. People say fun things to you. I was telling a friend recently that my ancestors are from Eastern Europe. That's where they descended from. And he immediately asked me, he's like, did your grandparents survive the Holocaust? Right out of the gate. I'm like, no, they actually left Germany before Hitler came to power. He's like, so they did survive the Holocaust. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they survived the Holocaust by never being a part of it at all. That's a fun way of looking at things, right? That'd be like if I was like, yeah, I'm actually a survivor of Hurricane Katrina. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. I'll never forget it. It was 90 degrees, 0% humidity. It was a close call. I barely got out of there with my life. It makes sense, though, because I am a 9/11 survivor. Yeah. On September 11th, I was actually at Disneyland. Yeah, I was riding the Tower of Terror, which I also survived. I survived all 3 towers on 9/11. It was a good time. I'm a big Law and Order SVU fan. Yeah, we got some in the house. That's good. I've been watching Law and Order SVU my whole life, because my mom was always a huge Law and Order SVU fan, so she always had it on the TV. And looking back, it's probably not too healthy to be 5 years old and watch a few hours of rape every night with your mom before you go to sleep. Probably not the healthiest thing for a 5-year-old. I was into it. I'm like, pop the popcorn, Mom. We got a child molester this episode. It's gonna be a good one. Now I'm in danger. It applies to me. Get the Diet Coke. He's got a good defense attorney. This may be a 2-parter. We're gonna want to stay up for this one. It's crazy. I still watch the show, and the show has barely changed. They have the same cast, and they stick to the same script, but the script doesn't match the cast anymore because they've gotten so much older. And I'm talking about Olivia Benson specifically. For those of you who do not know, when the show started, Olivia Benson was like the young, hot female detective arresting these sex crime perpetrators. And she would use her good looks and hotness in the interrogations to get confessions out of them. It wasn't even good writing. She'd be like, we know that you committed the sexual assault. And he'd be like, yeah, and I'll do it to you. That was every episode. It was every episode. They couldn't help themselves. She was too hot. They had to confess immediately. But they stick to the same script and it doesn't work because Olivia Benson's almost 60 years old. And she looks like shit. She looks terrible. So now the interrogations are much different. Now she's like, I bet you wish you could break out of those cuffs and rape me. He's like, no, I would never do that. That's disgusting. He's like, I'm a rapist and I wouldn't do it. She's like, you're a rapist? He's like, yeah. She still gets the confession. She's a hell of a detective. You guys are fucking amazing. Keep it going for your host. I've been Zach Lord. Thank you so much.
Tiny pony.